Chapter 3. Murder at Midnight. As planned, Huck arrived at Aunt Polly's house at midnight. He gave the secret call, a cat's meow. Tom quietly sneaked out his bedroom window, and the boys headed to the graveyard to cure warts. The graveyard was on a hill about 1.5 miles from the town. The boys entered through an opening in the crooked fence around the graveyard. A soft wind moaned through the trees. Tom was afraid it was the spirits of the dead telling them to go away. His heart beat faster as he and Huck looked for Hoss Williams's grave. Hoss had just been buried. The boys needed to chant magic words over the dead cat when Hoss's spirit was released. "I wish I'd called him Mr. Williams," whispered Tom, "but everyone called him Hoss." "You gotta talk about the dead with respect," agreed Huck. Hoss Williams's grave was at the far end of the graveyard. The boys stopped to rest behind a big tree near the grave. Suddenly, Tom heard muffled voices. He grabbed Huck's arm. Could it be the spirits of the graveyard? Huck heard the sounds too. The boys clung together. Tom felt a chill run through him right down to his bones. "Those are spirits for sure, Tom. What'll we do?" whispered Huck fearfully. I don't know," replied Tom, his voice shaking. "Maybe they won't see us." "Tom, spirits can see in the dark, same as cats. I wish I hadn't come." A light came into view. The voices grew louder. Then the boys saw 3 figures coming toward them. Huck was terrified. He closed his eyes and started to pray, but Tom couldn't help but look on. "Shh," he said. "They're not spirits, they're people. One of those voices is old Muff Potter's. Muff's drunk, same as usual, and I know another one of those voices. It's Injun Joe." Tom and Huck hid quietly in the shadows and watched the men. Muff Potter pushed a wheelbarrow. Injun Joe carried a rope and 2 shovels. The third man was Doc Robinson. He was paying Potter and Joe to rob Hoss Williams's grave. Muff and Joe started digging. The doctor held up the lantern. "Hurry," Doc Robinson ordered in a low voice. Potter and Joe growled an answer, then went back to their digging. Soon a shovel hit the coffin. The 2 men lifted up the box and pried open the lid. They put Hoss's body into the wheelbarrow and covered it with a blanket. Potter tied the whole bundle down with a long rope. He cut the end of the rope with a sharp knife. Then Potter said, "Give us more money, Doc, or the deal's off." "Yeah," Joe added, "pay up or else." He shook his fist in the doctor's face. Quick as lightning, Doc Robinson hit Joe. Potter dropped his knife and ran to help his friend. He shoved the doctor to the ground, but Potter was too drunk to do any harm. Joe picked up the knife where the doctor hit Potter on the head with a rock. Potter fell to the ground, unconscious. Joe rushed forward and plunged Potter's knife into the doctor's chest. Doc Robinson staggered back a few steps and collapsed. The boys could hardly believe their eyes. They tore out of the graveyard as if the spirit of Hoss Williams was on their tail. In the dark, every tree stump looked like an enemy. "We gotta make it to the old barn," gasped Tom between breaths. Huckleberry's hard pantings were the only reply. The boys ran on and finally burst through the open barn door. They hid in the shadows, exhausted. Finally, Tom whispered, "Huckleberry, what do you think will happen?" "There will be a hanging if Doc Robinson dies," said Huck. "If anyone finds out what we saw, Injun Joe will kill us for sure." "But Muff Potter can't tell," said Tom. "He was whacked on the head. He didn't see a thing." "By hokey, that's so, Tom," replied Huck. "Let's swear to keep mum." Tom wrote a pledge on a piece of pine shingle. "May we drop down dead in our tracks if we ever tell." The boys pricked their fingers and signed the pledge in blood. By the time Tom crawled into bed, it was almost morning. He fell asleep instantly. Huck slept inside an empty barrel. The next day, everyone heard the shocking news that Muff Potter had murdered the doctor. The sheriff marched Potter into town. Potter was confused and afraid. He fell down sobbing. "I never done it, friends. Upon my word and honor, I never done it. Tell them, Joe." Injun Joe described that night in the graveyard. He said Potter had started the fight and that Potter had murdered the doctor. Huck and Tom couldn't believe Joe could tell such lies. They expected lightning to strike the liar dead. The townspeople wanted to tar and feather Joe. They wanted to write him out of town for grave robbery, but he was big and strong. Everybody was a little afraid of him. Potter was held in jail until the trial. Tom often passed Potter's window and gave him some treats. It was the least Tom could do. He knew he would never tell what really happened. Every night after Potter's arrest, Tom had awful nightmares. He dreamed about the murder and Joe coming after him.